tomorrow's Fed rate decision. But there's another data point you should watch before the bell tomorrow. The Treasury will announce the types of bonds it plans to sell to fill the massive deficit. Our next guest says the bond market will be paying close attention. Let's bring in Damp Spring Advisors CEO Andy Constant. He was previously a chief strategist at Brevan Howard and an idea generator at Bridgewater Associates. Andy, great to have you with us.
Melissa, thanks for having me.
So what does this data tell you exactly, and what do you do with it?
So tomorrow we're going to get the composition of what the Treasury is going to issue. But stepping back briefly, at 3 o'clock yesterday, we got the quantity, and that quantity was extremely large and signaled that the deficit is rapidly increasing, and which has implications on the debt ceiling. And also that there's just approximately $1.2 trillion of bonds that are going to be sold between now and the end of September.
So tomorrow, when you get this, okay, sorry to interrupt. When you get this data, what are you looking for exactly? And right. How does that inform your sort of trading strategy?
Sure. So tomorrow we'll find out what the composition of that $1.2 trillion of bonds is. And that could be all bills, which would have very limited implication on markets, or it could be weighted heavily to Treasury bonds, which would have quite a bit of implication to bond yields as you tried to you need to attract new bondholders with higher yields.
So, Andy, it's Karen. Thanks for being on. Positioning yourself in front of this, because that number's so big, is there anywhere on the curve that you want to be over a different part of the curve, or do you just want to be out of bonds until we see this come to market?
Right. So it's a contrast with the potential debt ceiling and the implication that you talked about earlier in the show regarding going long bonds and this very heavy supply. So I'll be looking at the number. I expect a number that over the next 2 quarters, there are going to be at least 350 billion of bonds as compared to past quarters where there's only been 250 billion. But that number, given the size of the total needs of 1.2 trillion, could be as high as 500 billion. And that would affect the long end of the curve fairly significantly.
Andy, one of the things that is also coming up around the debt ceiling is the potential for another credit downgrade for the United States. We had S&P downgrade the U.S. in 2011. We've seen some comments from senior officials at Fitch suggesting that they are considering a downgrade. How would that play into your view on bonds? So if we have more supply, all else equal, pushing yields up, flight to quality with a debt ceiling and recession fears pushing yields down, what would another downgrade, 2 out of 3, mean for buyers and sellers in your view, or does it matter?
Sure. So I was actually sitting at Bridgewater looking at that in 2011 when the downgrade happened, and it had significant implications to the short end in particular, with bills that were after the debt.
Enough. Hey, Shalom, Hakim, Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim, Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and Rule Well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Knowing in the gospel, brought lift them the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. Real quick, this is a quick lesson on the economy. As we know that they're in negotiations to raise the debt ceiling, and then you have the opposing parties that's stating, well, let it default, which is all being controlled, and it's all through our systematic means, okay? Because eventually this economy will tank, and when you look at it in a roundabout way, everything is really collapsed already, okay? They have what they call QE4 or QE, which is quantitative easing, which allows them to borrow money from the Fed from 0 to point interest rate or at a 0 point interest rate. Okay, meaning that they have time to pay back their bills, but we know that the United States is not going to pay back their bills. I mean, the overspending, the budgeting, and the crisis from this war and the whole, what that happened in 2020, all was a systematic design to hide an already collapsing economy. Okay, this is why you have inflation, soon to be hyperinflation. Okay, prices going up. Gas fluctuates. 1 minute in Missouri is $3.50, then it's $3.25, and $3.30. You know, but we haven't reached that $2 mark in over a year. Okay, I remember when the war in Ukraine kicked off last year. I want to say around, let's say like early March, I believe. Literally, we saw gas prices shoot up like instantly, like within seconds. I mean, I went to work one morning, and then within hours of getting out of the yard into the field, gas was damn near up 50, 60 cents, man. Okay, which just shows you that they're playing with this thing, man. Because I'm looking at the computer now, and it says the Dow is down a negative 0.98%. So this thing is getting ready to, it's like a bubble that's getting ready to burst. And this article here goes into it. It says America's headed for economic disaster, warns former Trump campaign advisor. And everybody is blaming Biden administration of what happened to spending all this money in Ukraine and the aiding and, you know, just rating interest rates, the Fed, which we know the Fed is a privately owned bank anyway. So they borrow money from the Fed and then they tax interest on it. And then the people suffer from it, which is the consumers, because us being citizens of Babylon, we are nothing more than consumers. OK, everything that's produced here is totally like outsourced or non-existent at this point. Like back in the early 1900s, steel and metals was a good resource that, you know, the American economy thrived on prior to World War II. So now they're cutting down. Material is cheaper but more expensive. These cardboard boxes they're building and calling them houses and shit like that. It's all a joke, man. And honestly speaking, they're doing this because they want to bring in the CBDC. Okay, now with the Fed now and CBDC, it's different speculation is going out there. Okay, honestly speaking, I always say wait to see what it is, because you got certain bankers or certain financial forecasters or certain insiders coming out stating that will be the CHIP, but it's going to be called the CBDC. Other people are saying it's just a central bank digital currency, which that's the abbreviator for it. But we just have to wait and see what it truly is, because we know that the MOTB is going to be something they put inside you, and basically your whole life is going to be predicated on that computer chip, man. So that's what we do know for a fact. Okay, now what is going to be called when they come out, or what they're going to tie it into? I mean, of course they're going to tie it into this Fed now and the CBDCs, but is the CBDC the MOTB according to certain sources? It is, but honestly speaking, we just have to wait and see, because truly we don't know what they're going to call the micro C here. We don't know what they're going to call it yet. But according to the scriptures, it's called the MOTB. And they're not going to call it that. They're going to say, well, this is the mark. They're not going to say that. It's too obvious for them to indicate that, because people just going to flat out rebel and not take it. But somehow, somewhere, it's going to be slightly introduced into, or they're going to do it subtlety or through subtle means to introduce this thing into the economy. And that's what this is all heading to. Okay. So it says Steve Cortes, senior advisor to the Trump campaign, has warned the public that the U.S. is headed towards an economic disaster. All right. Let's see here. This from Brighton. And actually, I'm going to watch that video. I'm going to actually share it in a group meet, too, so brothers can actually see it. So I'm going to come back to that. Matter of fact, I'm going to put the link in the description in case brothers want to watch it. It says he issued a warning during a recent episode of the Alex Jones Show, telling the network's founder, the American economy is being destroyed right before our eyes, particularly for the people from middle and lower incomes. Well, duh. You know, you keep the rich rich and keep the poor poor. I mean, this whole monarchy has been going on since the time of the Roman Empire, even the Greeks, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Because what keeps the rich rich is the fact that they have the poor to borrow money from them, and the rich, they never use their money. They use the money of the poor, and then they don't really, so to speak, have to pay it back because they have their own money. But, you know, that's how the rich stay rich. You know, they borrow money from the poor, which we don't have, because there's no middle class. Okay, back in the early 90s, late 80s, man, you know, you was able to get by on a $12 an hour job, have a house, you know what I'm saying, family, a new car, $14 an hour, man, which that went a long way back then. Now you can't even fucking use $13, $14 an hour to even pay a bill. Like, you can't even pay rent with that. You know, if you want to have some type of comfort living, you need to be at least making about $60, $70 an hour. And that's barely making it, man. You know. But anyway, it says here, particularly for the people of the middle and lower incomes. It says the trend is terrible and the trend is worsening, but according to Cortez, small businesses which purchase commodities and consume goods suffer from inflation far worse than big businesses, right? Because what happens is these big businesses, they buy out the smaller businesses. It's like a monopoly. Like with these banks, like I believe it was what's the name of that bank that just went under this week or last week. Basically, they said it was the second largest bank in the U.S. history to go under, and I believe they were bought out by J.P. Morgan. Okay, but even then, you had the other bank, forgot the name of it too. But basically, they went down, man. I think it was like Silicon Valley. Okay, that was the first one. Basically, what happened was when that bank went under, then, you know, all these other banks started to fail, and these bigger banks bought them out, just like a monopoly. Same thing like with Walmarts and Targets and McDonald's, like, you know, those particular chains of stores would be pretty much like the monopolies that buy out the smaller businesses. Like Amazon, they put out a lot of smaller businesses because they sell things a lot cheaper. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of audio shops and audio equipment. A lot of times you go on Amazon and get the speakers 50, 60% off versus going to Best Buy. So they will put Best Buy out of business because who's going to go there and pay $600-$700 for an entertainment system when you can get it for $200 on Amazon? So you see how that works. Okay. But it says the reality, unless of course we correct incredibly quickly, U.S., we reverse in major ways on both monetary and fiscal policy. But the U.S. is headed for an absolute economic train wreck, for a financial cataclysm. It says this is what the reality as projected by the metrics, okay? And this is going to cause straight up chaos in America, man, because they showed you that on the X-Files back in 2016 when the banks went under on a Friday, and by Monday, couldn't nobody get their money out the bank. And they showed you a small indicator of that this year. Okay, Friday, the banks went under, and by Monday, everybody was like in line trying to get their money, and they couldn't get the money. Okay, that was just a prelude as to showing you what the hell going to happen. Because once the American economy collapses and people can't get their little greenbacks out the bank and they try to deposit the money and the bank takes your money, then that's going to lead to straight up chaos and global anarchy, man. And that's all done by design. Okay, so this is the book of Haggai 1, and I'm going to start at verses 5. It says, now therefore thus consider, says the Lord of hosts, consider your ways. Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but have not enough. And ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put into a bag with holes, man. Okay? Now, when you look at the American economy, as we stated, this is a economy or society that's based on consuming. And when you look up the word consuming, this is what you're going to get. Matter of fact, let's look up consume. All right, let's look this up real quick. Ozark Howler, man. And we know what it means, but this is just for edification. Consume definition. It says, buy goods or services, use up a resource. Okay? Like if you were playing a game on your phone, you could say, well, it's consuming the battery, meaning it's eating up the battery, meaning basically the American people, only thing they know is buy, eat, take. Okay? They're consumers. They're spending money. And it's what's really keeping this place afloat. But technically, this is already dead. America is like literally on life support. They're just like if a person falls into a diabetic coma with their brain dead, but you're still pumping air through their lungs. That's equivalent to the American economy, man. Because it's dead. She's already passed away, but, you know, they're steady pumping air into this place until you can't do it anymore. Then what happens, the machine overloads, and then it becomes fruitless. And that's when all hell break loose, man. And that's going to be, and the C-HIP is going to be the savior of the day. They're going to say, well, look, man, this is going to fix everything. This is the system, X, Y, and Z. They set it up now with the whole FedNow shit, man. Okay, they knocked off dude from PayPal. They knocked off dude from WhatsApp to show you their agendas, man. So it's getting there. All right. It says here, you clothe, but there's not warm, and you earn it wages to put it into a bag with holes. Okay, and that's the average person. Like literally when you get paid, your paycheck, you don't have no money left, man. Somebody's trying to sue you. Somebody's trying to come after your money. Your bills are overly expensive. Like, majority of people's incomes goes to paying bills. Okay, when you get a check, they're already taking 30-40% out of your check in taxes, man. Okay, for shit you're not even going to be able to claim down the line. Okay, they're talking about in the next couple of years, Social Security is going to be obsolete, which we knew the Social Security tax ain't nothing but funding the war. Okay, they're not putting that shit into these programs, because if they were, then, a lot of these veterans would be getting their money. A lot of these older folks, they'd be in better living, etc. But they're not. You know why? Because Esau is the devil. They're taking this money out of our checks to pay them rats over there in the land and to fund these wars and to fund their defense or their offensive strategies in military. That's where it's going to, Department of Defense, man. Okay. And it says, and he earned wages to put it into a bag with holes in it, because literally, bro, 30% of your check, 40% in taxes, another 10% in garnishments. If you owe child support, then you got shit coming in the mail. Well, you owe this, that, you owe that, your insurance, this and this and that. Then you have another, 30% that's taken away for bills, 40% even. So that's fucking 90% of your check gone, man. And then you need the other 10 to 5%, 5 to 10% to buy groceries and do everything else, car repairs and shit. Honestly speaking, repairing a vehicle nowadays, that'll take your whole goddamn paycheck, man. Like the average person is literally one paycheck away from being evicted. Like, honestly speaking, if I got fired or laid off today, after next week, I'll be fucked. Like, straight up, man. Because the unemployment is not going to cover the expenses that I need. And you can get by winging it, but it's to the point now, man, the system is through. And people, they just going to give up on it. People just walking off their jobs. They're not giving a shit no more. They're tired. I had a person, we was in class yesterday, and she just got up and walked out. Okay, now I understand she's going through some illnesses in her body. She's pretty sickly, but you can see it in her face, like she just through with it. You know what I'm saying? Because when you go to these schools and these jobs, they try to put a false sense of hope in you. You know what I'm saying? And the whole time I'm in class, I'm just winging this shit. I'm like, I really don't want to be here. Like, if I got to go through all this just to hold a job that ain't paying me nearly enough what they should be paying me, then honestly speaking, I'm wasting my time here. And honestly, I feel like that. But it's just kind of convenient, because it's just convenient for Jake at the time. But reality of it is, it's like, it's not even worth it anymore. And that's another thing. So Esau is losing a lot of money in economic growth and GDP because nobody's trying to work here no more. Nobody's trying to really work like that. People are tired of this shit. They're over it. Okay. Going down, it says Jones remarked. Oh yeah, Salakia. I missed the whole paragraph. It says Cortez, a political analyst and market strategist, added that Biden administration is accelerating the destruction of the U.S. economy, destroying the U.S. dollar and hollowing out America's middle class in the process. Okay, and it's an article here, Biden intentionally destroying U.S. economy and sabotaging the American energy sector. See, what y'all don't understand about this is that these presidents are bought and paid for. Yeah, Biden is this dude is not even intelligent enough to even know how to do this shit. He's taking orders from the elites, man. Okay, this is all the dealings of the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and the wicked elite. And they're just using this Muppet like Joe Bembeezy or Jim Crow Joe to carry out their orders, okay, because Trump refused to do so. So that's what they got him out of there. Okay, Trump was just put in office to steer you jarheads up, man. Okay, you rednecks out there. You see what I'm saying? And you Jakes, man, you better be careful because Trump was put in there for opposition purposes. But these Edomites are training in BJJ, man. OSS, man. They out there. And while you niggas are fucking around trying to get the bag and looking at Nike tutorials and all this other dumb shit you're doing, Esau Edom is training to choke you. You see what he did to the homeless dude on the train yesterday, man, which is totally fucking not right, man. Okay, they made it seem like the homeless guy was harassing people on the train and found out he was just asking for money for food. And then I guess this guy was like an ex-Marine or some shit and basically put him in a rear naked choke and choked him out, man. You know what I'm saying? Anybody that know if you get put in a rear naked choke and you execute it right and you put the clutch in the grip and you tie it in, you could choke a motherfucker out in 7 seconds, man, if you do it right. Okay, because you're cutting off that particular nerve and you're cutting off that it's a particular nerve in a vein that you clock up so you can't breathe. So basically, you can die within seconds, man, if you don't let go of the grip. That's why that BJJ is a good thing for you Jakes to learn, man. Get into it. You know what I'm saying? Because, hey, Esau, these devils are training. Like, when I go to my classes and shit, it's 90% Edomites in there, and they all in there because they know that they gonna have to clash with you niggas, man. They know this. They know that bullets are gonna run out, and they gonna have to clash with you. Now, Jake is a stronger people, so you will prevail in that, but they are training because they hate you. When I go to these classes, it ain't nothing but redneck, red devil Edomites, tattoos all over their face, people that you think couldn't even fight. You know, and a lot of them, they still, you know, they can't execute that in a perfect street fight. I mean, you know, they couldn't execute it, but even then, it's the mindset to kill you. You know what I'm saying? They want to put you down, man, and he proved that by choking out that Jake, man. So you Jakes better get your minds right, man, and you better get your minds right. You better focus on what you need to do, because the Lord is getting ready to bring the fire to this place, man. Okay, so let me go into some precepts. Let me stop talking. This is the book of Ecclesiastes 12, and I'm going to start at 1. It says, remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In a day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. You know, we went into the scripture several times, man. Okay, we bring out these particular precepts constantly because they're relevant to the topics that we're talking about in prophecy. Okay, see, a lot of you say, well, this is redundant, but you see it happen. It's a constant thing in the news. It's just not going to go away. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord is telling us what to speak on regarding the economy. The prophets oftentimes repeated themselves, man. Okay, how many times have the Most High told Ezekiel to go out there and warn the children of Israel, man? How many times did he tell them to be a watchman? The Lord constantly repeated himself. So it's the same thing with these epistles. So, you know, if you get aggravated, well, y'all always talking about the C-hip and this and that, then don't look at our videos. Go watch another video, man. You know what I'm saying? You got enough fucking women out there hopping out of red lights, twerking on headlights. You got a billion of those videos in circulation. Knock yourself out, bro. Just that simple. All right. But it says in the window should be darkened. Your optimist, because going into the mental welfare of the people, they don't have hope in America anymore. Okay, you got these freaks of nature running around. You got motherfuckers identifying with cats. You know what I'm saying? You got men that's coming out identifying as being this and this and that, and they say, well, it's normal. Well, clearly not you, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? And you speak out against these particular talking points, then it becomes a problem. Then you become a bigot. Then you are the primary target, and you're subjected to the abuse of the wicked ass elite here, man. You know what I'm saying? Because these people are protected, and it's crazy how people are under the spells of this place. Like, we be in class talking about this madness, and everybody just like think it's normal, man. And the people that don't think it's normal, they're afraid to say something. You know, it's nuts, man. And it says, and the door should be shut in the streets, and when the sound of the grinding is low, he should rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music should be brought low. This music is horrible, man. Okay, but the grinding is low. Right now, they're talking about mass layoffs. Okay, like I say, one day we're gonna wake up, and everything is gonna be different, because this just isn't happening in America, but it's happening in all these so-called European countries, man. From Great Britain to France. That's why they over there, right? Hey, they over there getting it in over there in France, man. They're still protesting, what do you call that, pension reform, meaning that they're trying to fight to not raise the retirement age over there. And them people are losing it, man. But you stupid ass Americans, you just sitting here like la, la, la. Okay, here they're getting ready to deploy a task force from the IRS to hunt you down at gunpoint. And the only thing you niggas could think about is fucking baseball season, man. In ballpark and ball fucking franks in Miller Lite. This is a sick fucking place, man. And this place needs to fucking go. Period. It's to the point. This place needs fire, man, all right? And it's going to get a lot worse, brothers. So only thing is just embrace yourselves, man. And you have to utilize the Holy Spirit all times of the day, because if not, man, you get caught without the Holy Spirit, you out here, man. That's your ass. straight up, man, because we are in a war. This is a spiritual war, and the scriptures say Satan, okay, seek it on the prowl to who he may devour, man. So we got to be careful, man, not to get caught up in this madness, and we got to keep our shit clean, man. All right. But it says here, also, when they should be afraid of that which is high, and fears should be in the way, and the almond tree should flourish, and the grasshopper should be a burden, and desire should fail, okay? People don't have the desire to want to work anymore. The love for one is growing cold. People are killing each other, man. Niggas are doing armed robberies in the middle of the day, shooting in convenience stores right on camera. Jake ain't even masking up no more. Like, what happened to the mask and gloves, man, and putting on the black, bro? A smart criminal will always try not to get caught. But niggas are just that stupid, man. Okay, and one thing I like about the show Power, bro, is the fact that even though Ghost did a lot of evil shit, they still couldn't prove he was Ghost. You know why? Because he didn't give himself up like you stupid niggas did. He played a perfect double agent. He was a businessman by day and he was a criminal by night. And you would never knew. You know what I'm saying? Only how they found out was because his wife snitched in the spinoff season. But he was already dead, so they couldn't pin it on him. But that's the point. Nobody knew that James was a ghost. And that's how you supposed to move out here, man. You ain't supposed to just be, well, you know, you going in there, you doing wicked shit on. Nah, come on, man. But that's the laws of iniquity, okay? Everybody is just like, they don't give a shit. You know, nobody's really getting arrested anymore. In Esau, he ain't in Chicago. You do a hit, they ain't caught you in 3 days. They gon', man, look, this is what they call that shit, unsolved mystery. You know what I'm saying? Unsolved murders. Like, my father was murdered 19 years ago. And they caught, and it was literally a how can I say it? Which I think the cops had something to do with that. But out of many people that was involved in that hit, only 2 niggas got caught. They stopped investigating after that. Like, I ain't heard shit else from detectives or nothing like that. His murder is still considered unsolved to this day. You know what I'm saying? So that shows you, like, Esau don't give a shit, especially if you a Jake. But these are the times we're in, man. You know? And it says, fear should be in the way, and the almond tree should flourish, and a grasshopper should be a burden, and desire should fail. Because a man goeth long to his home, and the mourners go about the street. Or ever the silver cord be loose, or the golden bowl be broken, or the pitcher be broken at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the cistern. Okay, so that's the point, man. This place is literally losing its value, and never had it in the first place. But the moral is demoralizing. The economy is on shit. People getting ready to riot. It's gonna get bad, brothers. And when I say the judgment, this shit gonna come like overnight, man. So just keep a watchful eye, because America is literally gonna go up in smoke in one. This is just gonna take one event before all hell break loose, and you can see it. You know what I'm saying? Homelessness, people on drugs, man. It's nuts. Okay. It says things are getting worse at an increasing pace. Cortez remarked, adding that the corporate media and the White House and the Federal Reserve won't tell the people about the economics crash full extent. Well, of course not. It says, in a former Trump campaign advisor ultimately remarked that America's ruling class believes it can squeeze out as much profits from the U.S. while it collapses. Yeah, capitalism, baby. It says he added that these same elites have no sense of patriotism and do not care about the repercussions of their actions against Babylon. Well, no, because this is the Lord's judgment. Okay? So America's on a managed decline, and I'm not going to read all that. All right? I mean, that's pretty much self-explanatory. But these are some good articles. I'll make sure I will post this link in the description so you brothers can get the full edification out of it, man. All right? Let's go to the book of Jeremiah. 50, I think it's 51 if I'm not mistaken. Yep, Jeremiah 51, and I'm going to start at verses 7. It says, Babylon been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. How? Through their philosophies, their deceit, okay, their Federal Reserve, okay, their democracy. Now you got Arab women taking off hijabs and twerking on top of light poles and all this other stuff. That's part of the philosophies. And it says here, wherefore the nations are mad. Now you had over 19 nations that pretty much duped the American dollar. it's probably more than that. But literally, people are leaving the alliance of this place like literally overnight. So Saudi Arabia cut them off, so it's just a wrap. So just a matter of time before everything goes up. Saudis cut them off. That pretty much that took them off life support. Now they're just dying a slow death really quickly, but they're just dying a constant death. And one day we gonna wake up, we ain't gonna have no jobs, we ain't got no money in our bank accounts, and then that's when the Wild Wild West will begin. It says Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed, but how for her and take balm for our pain? If so, she may be healed, okay? But she's not gonna be healed because there's no amount of bailouts that's gonna get this place back up and running, man. Okay, the CBDC or the MO, however you want to say it, the Fed now, the CBDC and the micro CHIP, and just pretty much a cop out for more control. Okay, that's not gonna get you back in the game. That's not gonna get you back to the pre-existing of America prior to World War II. No, you're not going back to that point. It's a done deal. After World War II, you immediately start to decline after the baby boomers went and died off, man. You started to decline very rapidly from that point. After the 60s, it was a wrap. It says we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reaching into the skies and it's lifted up into the heavens, Salakia, and it's lifted up even to the skies, man. All right, so call Allah Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Bashim Rakakwadash. I want to say double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone and blessings and salutations. So with that, Lord's will you edify into the next lesson. Shalom and a Baba Ball. Shalom.